quality of life of New Yorkers. However, some council members decided to put their own political agenda ahead of sound policies. Keith Power's controversial bill 632 would prohibit the criminal background checks in all rentals, sales, leases, and subleases or occupancy agreements. On the surface, this bill would seem like a laudable attempt to address practices. However, as it is currently written, this bill would do neither. Instead, it could destabilize the housing market and harm the most vulnerable. We all deserve second chances, but property owners must have discretion on who to rent or sell to in order to safeguard all their residents. Tenancy decisions should be assessed in the context of the nature and the severity of the crime and offense. Intro 632 should be amended to allow owners, managers, agents to conduct criminal background checks, but ban rental denial based solely on criminal record. But they should also provide a holistic approach to permitting further inquiries into the types of crimes committed. Create a screening and reintegration program similar to NYCHA's Family Reentry Program and allocate funds and oversight to staff to ensure mandatory supportive services are available. With inclusive, collaborative dialogues, the needs of all parties could be addressed. I urge the City Council to be bolder and more comprehensive. A better bill is possible if they just took the time to write it. Thank you. Thank you. And next I would like to bring up Democratic State Committee woman from AD 78 from the Bronx, Rachel Bradshaw.
So, hello everyone. I am fired up. Who is here to make sure that Intro 632, also known as the Fair Chance of Housing Act, in its current state doesn't see the light of day? So I am State Committee Woman Rachel Miller Bradshaw of the 78 Assembly District. So what does that mean? I am a pro bono elected official who doesn't get paid to do this. But if you want to become one, like a district leader, like a county committee person, or a judicial delegate, visit repmyblock.org. So I am here in my full capacity as State Committee woman elected by a district of 62,975 registered voters, and I'm also here as a board member of Fordham Hill Owners Corporation, and we represent 1,116 shareholders. I am here to say that we are not tolerating any more changes to the law that hurt the black community or the community at large, like bail reform. The Fair Chance of Housing Act is an extension of bail reform that, in essence, it has good intentions with long-term damaging effects to our people. As a mother, I'm here to expose how the City Council is trying to sneak in this bill that will allow so many potentially dangerous people access to housing without a background check. This will hurt the community. And what community? It's our common unity. As a black woman, I'm an owner of a co-op, and I am a face of black ownership. We do exist in New York City. I am a landlord, and I thought the New York City Council would know that there are black landlords. Don't we want more black landlords? Yes! Don't you all want black landlords in the city? Yes! Well, guess what? Black landlords also want to know who we are renting to also. Black landlords! There are a lot of black homeowners, black condo and co-op owners in Harlem, in Northwest Bronx, Southeast Queens, Brooklyn, and Staten Island, and we're being destroyed by bail reform and this proposed Intro 632 Fair Chance at Housing Act. We are being preyed upon. They are destroying our property ownership, taking away our black generational wealth. This is destroying Black Wall Street without even pulling a trigger. Yeah. Look at me. This is what black landlords look like. This is what black landlords look like. Fordham Hill Owners Corporation. So in closing, not only do I want to see more black landlords, but I want to see more black elected pro bono elected officials like me. So I'm State Committee Woman Rachel Miller Bradshaw, again from the 78th Assembly District. I want anyone that wants to learn how they can serve their community to please go to repmyblock.org. We are going to fight to make sure that this reckless bill does not go through, and let's all stand together and defeat it. Thank you.
Thank you, Rachel. Thank you so much. And I want to be sensitive of the stated meeting. It's at 1:30, so I'm going to invite Council Member, Minority Leader Joe Borelli.
Welcome to City Hall. Thank you. Thank you guys for coming. I want to start out by talking about how incredible this bill is. For years, no one has been able to unite the Hatfields and McCoys of the New York political and cultural scene, landlords and tenants. It turns out that if you give rights to criminals to your building, to live in your building, you can actually unite two groups that have been opposed to each other since time incarnate. Because the truth is, we are creating a new protected class of people. That protected class of people is not the public. We're not here to protect the public. The new protected class of people are people who have been committed and convicted of crimes. Right? They call this the Fair Chance Act. These people had their fair chance. They were asked to follow rules. They've been convicted by a jury of their peers or pled to a crime and admitted that they violated the rules. You had your fair chance. Now you face the consequences. If someone has to stand in judgment of you because you've been convicted of a heinous crime, that's not my problem. That's not your neighbor's problem. That's not your landlord's problem. And that's not Mrs. McGillicuddy's problem, who doesn't want to live next door to you. We have been the victims, collectively, as a city, of a number of interesting crimes recently. Just yesterday, the mayor, thankfully, was with the police commissioner. They arrested a man who was shooting Jewish people with a BB gun. That person will hopefully be convicted of a hate crime. This bill gives that person rights. We've seen other people get arrested for hate crimes, throwing bricks through gay bars. Now we're going to actually create a protective class of people who throw bricks through gay bars. We've seen how many cases of Asian people being assaulted, of all different people being the victim of targeted crime. Now suddenly we decided we're going to create a new class of protected people who are suddenly entitled to rent. I don't know. If I had a landlord, I'd be pretty happy that they were offering this service. I'd be excited that they're actually checking the background of people who want to reside in my building. And I want to make one final point. The Fair Housing Act already protects people who have been convicted merely of a crime. The Fair Housing Act already has protections for those people. It allows landlords and condo boards, etc., to discriminate against a person if there is a threat to persons or property. So in theory, the only new people we're adding under this Fair Chance Housing Act that don't currently have protections under the law are people who have been convicted of a crime and also happen to be a threat to persons and property. That's the real injustice. That's the type of injustice we've unfortunately become used to with the City Council, and that's the type of injustice we hope the majority members of the City Council push back on, and we certainly hope the mayor does too. So thank you guys for coming out, and thanks for sharing your voices.
Thank you so much. And next, I want to bring up Councilmember Ina Verikoff. She has been very outspoken about this. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you, Minority Leader. I'm Councilmember Ina Vernikov. Look, our city is already ridden with crime. We have crime on our subways, crime on our streets. If this bill passes, we're actually bringing that crime into our homes to live next door to us. We may actually not be safe in our own apartments and homes. This is a very dangerous bill that would harm mostly law-abiding New Yorkers. And don't get me wrong, I think myself and those who oppose this bill all support passing a bill that would prohibit discriminating against those who have some criminal record in the past, who have cleared it, who have made mistakes but are now rehabilitated. And we agree that all those people need a place to live. But let's talk about how much this bill would harm low-income New Yorkers, middle-class New Yorkers, our Asian American communities, our Hispanic communities, our immigrant communities, all law-abiding citizens. We cannot support a bill that would strip the property owner from their right to know if a murderer or a drug dealer will move onto their property. And it's really not too late to speak out against this bill. It's only going into committee hearing tomorrow. We're going to hear from witnesses, we're going to hear testimony, and I think that we can really make a difference with speaking out. Call your council members. I've been saying this since the beginning. Reach out. Let them know that you oppose this bill. We need to do this from all over the city. Not everybody is for it, and we need to keep pushing the needle. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. And I want to give you all a little perspective from a parent. So I'm going to bring up Daniela Ergarov. Daniela? She's going to...
Thank you, Susan. My name is Daniela Souza Igorov. I am a mother. I'm a member of CC for District 2. And I'm here to say that this bill will make women and children vulnerable in their own homes. Right. We cannot let this bill pass, and we are in the middle of a huge rise in crime against women, sexual crimes, and this cannot be now happening in our own homes. We are already afraid to take the subway. We are afraid to walk in the street. I live in downtown, and my council member, Chris Marta, is a sponsor of this bill. And that guy sucks. And I am ashamed of that. And when people in my community called his office this week, he said he supported the bill because the mayor wanted. Chris Marta, you were not elected to do what the mayor wants. You were elected to represent our community, us. You need to vote against this bill because this bill will make mothers like me and children more vulnerable in our own homes. Enough is enough. Say no to this bill.
You didn't run the film again, man.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. And so I know that we have a stated meeting, so I want to invite other council members to speak. If Councilmember Kalman-Yeager, would you like to speak, please? Thank you.
Thank you, I appreciate it. You know, we could have all gone home after my colleague Rachel Miller-Bradshaw from the Bronx spoke. I say my colleague because we are members of the Democratic State Committee together, 78th AD, 41st AD in Brooklyn. I too am a Democratic State Committeeman. We represent very different parts of New York City. We look very different. We all have the same concerns. I'm not a property owner. I'm a member of the City Council. I'm a renter. I've rented my entire life. I am very grateful for the knowledge that my landlord checks me out and checks all my neighbors out before he rents to us. I'm very, very grateful to know that landlords across the city have the opportunity to look at who they're renting their property to. Because ultimately, the safety of people in a property is the responsibility of the landlord. The landlord has to maintain the property in good condition, has to maintain the locks on the doors in good condition. They'll get a violation if the outside lock is broken. Landlords are responsible to the people they rent to make sure that they are safe. And so if a landlord can't ensure that they are only renting their apartments and their buildings to people who will act in accordance with societal norms, in other words, don't commit crimes. Like my colleague, the minority leader said, people had a chance. We all start at the same place. We all start crime-free. Some of us have chosen not to commit crimes. Some of us, not us, have chosen to commit crimes. There's a price to be paid for that. And one of those prices is that there are parts of society which will excise you from there. They have the right to say, we do not wish to have you living amongst us. Now, it's also fair to say, because we are fair people, if you shoplifted 30 years ago, and that's your record, landlord will say, no problem, you can rent. That's not who this bill is designed to protect. And make no mistake about it, when they talk about, as Joe Borelli said, when they talk about the fair chance, they're not talking about somebody who committed a minor crime 20 years ago, who got caught up in the system as a kid, who made a mistake in judgment. That's not who they're talking about. They're talking about dangerous criminals and landlords being required to rent to them without any knowledge, without any ability to do a background check whatsoever. It's not okay. We are going to oppose it together, and I think that I'm hopeful that there are at least some other common sense members of this council who will join together with us and stop this bill from happening. So I'm very grateful for you for doing this. All of my friends here, thank you very much. And this is the face of New York. This is the face of New York. Thank you very much.
Next, I would like to bring up Councilmember David Carr.
Thank you so much. Good afternoon. More and more we hear from New Yorkers that they don't feel like they're safe. And the reason that they don't feel like they're safe is because they are less safe. It's not a figment of their imagination. It's happening in every single part of their lives. The commute to work, they don't feel safe. When they leave their kids off at a school, they feel like they're not safe there. When they go shopping, when they run their errands, the only place they can retreat to has been their home. When they walk through their front door, when they walk into the lobby of their building, they're supposed to feel like, I made it. And now that sense of security, both real and perceived, is under attack. And it's under attack not because the city's not going to be doing something, but because they won't allow private individuals and entities, landlords, property owners, co-op and condo boards, to do the due diligence that they should be doing. The due diligence that should be done no matter what. We need to be able to make sure that everyone who lives in a building, everybody who lives in a piece of property in this great city of ours, feels secure once they're in their home. And the only way that that can continue, the only way that that can be maintained, is if this bill is defeated, and if landlords and property owners and condo and co-op boards continue to try to make sure that the people that they're going to be allowing to live in a community, and these buildings in our city are their own little communities, know who their neighbors are, know what they've done, and can turn them away when they're a danger to the people who live in those buildings. Should we be allowing somebody who stole a purse from a senior to live next door to some other senior? Should we be allowing somebody who tried to seduce a young child to live in a building full of families? Absolutely not. And we cannot allow this bill to go forward. It has to be defeated so that New York City can continue to be a safe place to live in our homes. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I want to take a moment to recognize we have a Democratic County Committeeman, Dion from AB 79. So I just want to emphasize that, this isn't a partisan effort. It is a New York issue, right? It affects all New Yorkers. Our safety is paramount. So, Dion, would you like to say something?
Please say a word, Dion.
Go. Good afternoon, family.
Good afternoon.
Oh, my God. I see so many faces I know. A lot of people don't know I hate activists. People think I'm an activist. God is going to be activist. Let's get things done. Number one, repmyblock.org. Why is that important? Because I told a lot of people here, I don't do this because if these people take you seriously, there's one thing you can do, and that's run for office. What do you want to do, run for office? I know that you ran for office. Christopher Marte, your days are numbered. Next year, in 2023, we're going to do what? Run for office. All your city council people are redistricting. There's 23and23.org. They're going to run for office. That way, next year in 23, we can take back New York. We want to take back New York, right? Take back New York, right? That means we have to wake up, New York. Wake up, New York. And I'll end by saying that.
And then I'm going to bring up Councilmember Ari Kagan. Thank you.
First of all, I would like to say that I'm a tenant myself. And for my 30 years in New York City, I was renting apartments. I can tell you that this bill will endanger millions of tenants in New York City, millions of tenants. Like, do you see a responsible landlord who will not check anybody who is going to rent their apartments? So if someone talking about discrimination, that's a great way to create a lot of discrimination, because if landlords have no choice, no chance to even know the criminal background of prospective tenants, they will try to find it from other sources somehow. They will use other methods, or they will not rent at all. It will lead to a bigger housing crisis in New York City, even more than today. And everybody is talking about housing crisis in New York City, by the way. So also, again, we are talking about fair chance. As a council member, I'm very proud to secure funding to organizations working with formerly incarcerated individuals. This is the way to go, to help people with job training, with employment, with all kinds of supportive services. But this bill is not about this. This bill is blindly, I emphasize, blindly saying don't check anything, and everybody, I emphasize everybody who was released after serving their time are no longer threat to anybody. How can we say something like this? My colleagues already mentioned some examples. If it's a person is a recidivist, if person served numerous jail times, like for various violent crimes, it's a normal responsibility of any responsible homeowner just to know about it, and also of all tenants in that building. So we cannot allow this to happen. I was against it as a Democrat, now I'm against it as a Republican, and I hope everybody, any sensible person, any sensible Democrat or Republican will be against this bill, because it's a wrong-headed bill, and it's very unfortunate that more than 30 council members already co-sponsored this, but I still hope that public pressure will bring this bill to the halt. It's not going to happen, or it will be severely, super-duper amended, so we cannot afford this insanity. The public safety is the #1 priority today in New York City. We cannot endanger New Yorkers at their homes. Thank you so much.
I think one of the things that I want to emphasize is that, when they did ban the box for employment check, there's been studies that demonstrated that young black and brown men have been discriminated against because they couldn't do the checks. With more information available, there are more opportunities afforded to those in the black and brown community. And I think that this legislation, proposed legislation, Intro 632, have many unintended consequences, and we really need to look into it and really put the time and effort in drafting a better legislation. Next, I want to bring up Yatin. She is from Asian Wave Alliance.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you, Susan, for organizing this rally, and thank you to all the council members who stood with us. My name is Yatin Chu. I'm president of Asian Wave Alliance. I stand here today with common sense electeds and concerned New Yorkers to oppose the City Council Bill 632, which will prohibit landlords, co-ops, condos from doing criminal checks on prospective tenants and buyers. New Yorkers have the right to feel safe in their homes, and our laws should protect residents from known risk in a fair and transparent manner. Asian New Yorkers have the highest rate of home ownership, 42% in New York City, 50% in Queens, and 77% in Staten Island. If passed, this will affect Asians disproportionately. Many own multifamily homes that they rent to supplement their income and consider that as their nest egg for retirement. These are not the 1%ers. They are working class, who struggle to make mortgage payments, pay their taxes, and expenses for upkeep. Not only have homeowners and small landlords been distressed and harmed by the pro-tenant policies of our electeds, they are now putting all of us in greater danger of living upstairs from possible dangerous criminals. 632 is another attack on all of us. Our electeds continue to prioritize the lives of convicted criminals over the safety of hardworking New Yorkers. This is a deceptive bill, appearing to take aim at landlords. The reality is, neighbors and other tenants will bear the brunt of the harm. This is a safety concern for all residents who share the same entrances, elevators, and laundry rooms, with neighbors who may have had a violent criminal history. After a long day of braving our streets and subways, we all deserve to come home to a place of safety and security. 632 threatens to take that away. We call on our city council members to pass responsible laws that protect New Yorkers, not put more in harm's way. Thank you very much.
Keith Powers is right there.
Shame on you, Keith Powers.
Shame on you.
No, shame on you. Shame on you. Shame on you. Shame on you. Shame on you.
Vote him out. Vote him out. Vote him out. Vote him out. Vote him out.
Vote him out. Vote him out. Vote him out. Vote him out. Vote him out.
What timing, huh? Keith Powers, he was the council member. He's the council member that introduced Intro 632. And, you know, one of the things that I want to emphasize is that a lot of the cooperatives throughout the city are owned by middle-class working families, nurses, MTA workers, teachers, our frontline workers, and this legislation is really going to be detrimental to their nest egg, right? This is their investment, and this is how they build generational wealth. And so I want to bring up Myrna Calderon, board president from Fordham Hill Owners Corporation.
En español, quiere que hablo en español, but I'm going to speak in English. I want you to know that I represent a cooperative in the Bronx. And just like my colleague Rachel Bradshaw said, predominantly owned by, can you show your hands, my home, Fordham Hill? Black and brown owners. So we have a very large Black and Latino community in the Bronx that are homeowners. Some of them have invested their lives there, and some of them are seniors that you see here. One of the jobs that I have as board president is to keep our tenants and shareholders safe.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Right. What the city is going to do with this bill is they're going to strip me of my ability to do that. They're going to strip our 9-member board the ability to look at potential applicants and say, well, you know what? We don't think that a person who committed a violent felony should be living next door to one of my delicate seniors.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
That is my job as board president.
It is.
So New York City Council's job is to keep us all safe.
Yes.
It is not to push their liberal, left-wing agenda. Let's just be honest. And I am a lifelong Democrat. I was born and raised in this city. I grew up on the Lower East Side. I know what it's like to have to walk over drug addicts, okay? Heroin addicts, dead people going to school. Yes, dead people. In the schoolyard. So I understand what it is not to feel safe. We have built a community on safety. One of the main reasons people move to Fordham Hill is because the minute they walk through those gates, they feel safe. We have had multiple elected officials that have made Fordham Hill their home, including a former borough president of the Bronx. So we know what safety is, and we know what is required. You're stripping us of that right. And talk about second chances. I am all about second chances. I am in the ministry. I'm a chaplain. I'm a pastor. I understand second chances, and I know that people can change. But what you've done, what you're going to do with this bill is strip people, boards like ours, that can look in an application and say, well, you know what? This happened when this person was 18 years old. This person has been clean for the last 15 years. Please, let's give this person a chance. Have we not done that?
Yes, we do.
We have done that. We have done that on multiple occasions. We understand that people change. I served as a treasurer of an organization that helps incarcerated youth not be incarcerated. So I fully understand this. So you're talking about people who really get it. But work with us. Work with a bill that we can all live with and that we can all feel safe as New Yorkers. Thank you.
And, you know, part of this bill that's introduced, NYCHA and Section 8 units are exempt from this legislation. NYCHA, the government, which is one of the worst landlords, is exempt from this, right? And so we have small property owners who have many are from the immigrant community who abide by the law. They've suffered a lot from COVID, and this is just another nail in the coffin. And so it is really hard for us to understand why this legislation should go forward. Next, I want to bring up Nicole. Shame on you! Lincoln Wrestler, everyone! Council member, Lincoln Wrestler!
Vote him out!
Next, I want to bring up Nicole Palame. She is from Women's Safe NYC.
Oh, Charles Barron is right there. Charles Barron is right there. Charles Barron is right there. He's supporting the bill.
No to 632. No to 632.
Vote him out. Vote Charles Barron out. He's supporting the bill. Charles
Say
Barron.
no.
Vote him out.
First of all, I want to say this is what community looks like. This is what happens when we show up for each other. I couldn't be here today without many of these people. As the victim of attempted sexual assault while heading home one evening, I know the feeling of someone creeping up behind you when it's too late to run, and all you can do is fight. Victims have to live the rest of their life with that face, that breath, and that voice burned into their memory. Intro 632 has not changed at all from the time former Councilmember Levin tried to push it through, and it was rejected. Now Councilmember Powers is doing the same thing despite us voicing our concerns directly to him. He's pushing slapstick legislation that has no safety net for women or our most vulnerable. There are serious flaws in this legislation that will lend itself to more tragedies. Almost 50% of sexual assault cases are not prosecuted by the Manhattan District Attorney's Office. Not all sex crimes require registration, and for those that do, it is up to the sex offender whether they notify law enforcement agencies in the area about their presence if they move to New York. So now the predators that have preyed on myself and other vulnerable in our shelters and across this city recently can live in our buildings. And what recourse do innocent New Yorkers have against violent predators when Manhattan District Attorney gives 3 years or less for murder, as in the recent hate crime murder case of Than Hui, who was brutally assaulted and murdered on our subway? Do you want this hate crime perp as your neighbor in a few years, anyone? No! The same DA has shown no regard for victims attempting to prosecute domestic violence victims and jailing bodega workers who protect themselves when attacked. We are without advocates, we are without a safety net, and we are on our own. And if we defend ourselves, this DA has proven he will prosecute us while perpetrators move in next door to our neighbors and our vulnerable to harm again, again, and again. Today we say enough is enough. We don't want slapstick legislation that hasn't considered or addressed the serious unintended consequences of this bill. We believe in second chances, but we also need a safety net, and this bill is without a safety net for residents. Reject this bill. We call on the committee to reject this bill, and in its place, put forth a solid reentry program that works. Work with landlords and formerly incarcerated and residents and victims to ensure that housing and stability are achieved without compromising our safety. We ask you, are you smart enough to put forth a reentry program, or do you want to put forth bad legislation that puts our safety at risk?
Next, I want to bring up Susan Zhang. She is the Chief of Staff for Assemblymember William Colton.
Thank you, Susan. Thank you.
My name is Susan Zhuang. I'm a Chief of Staff for Assemblyman William Colton. First of all, I want to say City Council should vote no for this bill.
That's right. Yes.
There's no common sense in this bill. If you let someone use your home more than $1 million, do you need to know who is using your home?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Can bank check your background before you give you the mortgage?
That's right.
Its next bill is, no one check anyone's background. Is that city going to rip everyone off? That's not the right thing to do. If you let some people use your home, and it's very valuable, why you cannot know what this person did before?
That's right. That's right.
This is your right.
Right.
This is our right. We need to know where is our right. When we talk about rights, why we only talk about people had been criminal before?
Right.
Where's our right as a normal people? Second, is any law says people has criminal background not able to rent any apartment? No. All the landlords should give everyone second chance. That depends on the situation, depends the landlord. And then as a tenant myself, I want landlord to check the background. I want to know my next door is good person or not. This bill not protect tenant either. Third, who should take the responsibility help those people have a criminal background to restart their life? Who? Is the landlord or is it our government? Our government failed on us. They put the burden on our people. We have to vote no on this bill. We need to restore our government. Right system is the right way to resolve the issue, not this bad bill. Thank you so much.
I just want to say in closing, New York has one of the strongest tenant rights legislation policy available. And in their Tenants Bill of Rights, it is the property owner's responsibility to provide a safe and secure environment for their tenants. And this legislation, Intro 632, will literally handcuff these landlords, these small property owners, these landlords from doing their job that is inscribed in the Tenants Bill of Rights. Thank you.
Councilman Barron said that he's going to look at this bill again. He was
Common sense. Common sense.
break them down.
Just break it down. You take it down. He's not a sponsor. You let him talk. You don't let me talk. Oh, he is a sponsor. Right.
Hi, I'm Donghui Zhang. I'm a Queen's parent, a former city council candidate, and the president of New York City Resistance Alliance. As an organization, our goal is to promote public safety, quality education, and Asian equality rights throughout New York City and New York State. We are standing here today because we see Bill 632 is a threat to the already deteriorating safety in New York City. It totally ignores the security protection to millions of New Yorkers by refusing to let landlords, co-ops, or management company to run criminal background check. So, and it is especially put the people who live in co-ops, multi-unit buildings, or affordable housing under great risk, because then you will not know, you cannot know whether a neighbor might have committed serious crimes like murder, arsoning, robbery, stealing, or frauding. So I don't understand this bill. All the employers, including New York City, so will do background check when they hire new employee to make sure the workplace is safe. why cannot the residents management cannot do background check to make their living place safe? So I just don't get that. So we all agree that one-time record of arrest or prosecution might be nothing. So, but whether it's something serious or not, and so whether it should impact the denial or approval of an application, it should be the total discretion of the applicant's potential neighbors, which is the co-op management, which is the co-op board, which is the landlord, not you, the 31 city council members. So I ask all the New York City residents to oppose Bill 632. Right. Thank you, Susan.
Okay. So I want to wrap this up because, we have some seniors from Fordham Hill that is going back to their apartments. So if you guys have any questions, we'll open up the floor for questions. Okay. All right. Thank you.
Hi, Susan.
And we deserve, our board needs the ability